everybody, and welcome back to another episode of First and Last, your favorite TV podcast of all time. My name is Josh. With me this week, we have Joe.
Hey, man.
And Jimmy.
What is up?
Hello, good sirs.
Hey, guys.
How was everybody's week been?
It's great. I'm here to talk about any topic you want to talk about.
All right, cool. Cool.
Yes.
Little inside joke on a podcast.
But it's good to know. It's good to know that you're open, though, Joe, for anything. You know, how do you feel about Pluto's status as not being a planet?
I'm okay with it. I mean, Pluto's still a special place to me, whether we call it a planet or just an asteroid. It's a special rock out there.
Is it an asteroid now? Is that what it is?
I guess I don't know the technical term. If it's not a planet, it's just a
big space rock.
An asteroid revolves around the sun still, right? So maybe it is an asteroid?
Suppose.
According to Wikipedia, Pluto is a dwarf planet.
All right. What are examples of other dwarf planets? Is it the sole dwarf planet?
I think I could click on the dwarf planet link and let you know. I was linked because it was discovered in 1930 and declared the ninth planet, but then in the 1990s, its status as a planet was questioned. So then it got reclassified as a dwarf planet. So I mean, you know, like a dwarf is still a human. It's just a dwarf human. Like I don't understand what the.
I changed my mind. I don't want to talk about this. I'm not up for anything. I'm not up for absolutely any topic. Just cool topics.
Well, so I just assumed that we were gonna watch a space show today. So I figured, why not go? Did I not go in the right direction?
Well, because it's a Joe show. I figured it would either be spooky, but we just had Spooky Month, or a TGIF.
Yeah, network comedy. That's kind of my zone.
That's fair enough. Well, before we get into what show we are watching, I guess, Joe, what is this podcast for any newcomers besides your number one What is Pluto podcast?
It's First and Last. So just like the name says, we take a TV show and only watch the first episode, and the last episode. Nothing in between, just straight from beginning to the end. And we make wild accusations about the show based on limited information.
This is accurate. We've said it from day one, and we'll keep saying it. If you're watching the middle of a show, you're a sucker, and you should stop.
Yeah. Why waste your time?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I think I stand behind that. I started up watching The Strain again during Spooky Month, and so now I'm like towards the end of season 2. It's like,
Have you been picking up The Strain like every October since we watched it like 2 years ago?
Yeah. I just watch a handful every October. One day I'll get through it.
You might maybe before before coronavirus is over, you'll finish The Strain because it's probably going to be around still next October. So
yeah, true.
It's never going away. Well, Joe, it is your show this week, so I guess you could tell us what show you picked. Everyone else knows already because they can read titles. So.
They're geniuses.
Yeah.
This week I picked a show called The Good Place.
Oh, nice.
So I have a question. I have an immediate question for you. Why did you say you were giving you? We have a text thread, obviously, because we're best friends. And I thought you said that we were watching like Clue, the TV show, and then I was like, "There's a Clue TV show." Do I not know how to read?
I mean, yes and no.
I mean, yeah. I said I just picked a show, and then I said Clue : and then I said that the first episode is 23 minutes and the last episode is 53.
Oh, I thought you
that is
said
the
I picked
clue.
you said I picked a show, Clue. Then the first episode of Clue is 23 minutes.
Misread
The last
punctuation.
episode. I don't think I see punctuation.
You're like Christopher Walken.
I think it's something fair to take from that text. But then when you responded like, "Oh, they made a TV show about Clue. Is that what we're watching?" I thought you were joking.
Yeah, same.
I mean,
Or like the movie Clue, I thought maybe you might have been referring to, which is great.
I've never seen it actually.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
that's solid. Yeah,
So
I did
good.
ask whether or not, because I was like, I don't think there's a Clue TV show, but he said there is one. And yeah. But The
It's
Good
such a-
Place.
oh,
The Good
God, Clue
Place.
is so good.
TGP.
That'll be fun. So it is over. Did it get canceled or did it actually
No.
conclude?
It concluded
Oh, good
Yeah.
for them.
It's a Michael Schur show, so
this
I feel like
year, right?
yeah, just
2020?
this past year. Michael Schur is the creator of The Office and Parks and Rec. So I'm sure if he wanted to make
Michael
15
Schur?
seasons of The Good Place, they would have let him.
Right. It was good. It was a good place.
What have you all seen of it? Either one of you?
I think I've seen some of it. I think I may have seen all of the first season, maybe just part of the first season.
Okay. And there's
I-
so clarification. There's 4 seasons of it.
Oh.
53 episodes total, and it went from September 2016 to January of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched this like probably most millennials, like when it dropped fully on Hulu or whatever at a time. And I watched the first season, my wife and I did. And then when the second season dropped, she binged it without me, like unbeknownst to me.
Like
I was like,
secretly.
oh, we have Good Place to watch, and she's like, So I kind of accidentally first and lasted this.
Oh, she really took her vows to heart. She just kind of skipped right over you, huh?
So
Oh,
you've seen
man.
like the first season and then just the last season?
And I think some of the third, perhaps. But I was very confused.
Okay. Well, we have that's fun because so I have definitely seen the first 2 seasons of this show.
Okay.
And then I think then it wasn't quite on Hulu. It's on Hulu, right? I think. It wasn't streaming yet. And so then I just noticed that whatever it's on, the 4th season appeared recently.
Yeah, it's on Netflix now. It
Netflix,
might be
okay.
Hulu also.
Oh, okay.
But I did see the 4th season and I was like, oh, I should watch that. So
Interesting.
there we go.
Here
Now
you
I
go.
won't have
Skip
to.
right
Now
to
I can
the
just
end.
watch the end. This is great. So I guess we all kind of know the premise then, right?
Yeah, I mean, should we talk about like the season 1 twist?
Well, I mean, we can talk about the season 1 twist after we watch the first episode.
Okay.
But
makes
like,
sense.
if I remember correctly, it's essentially the good place is the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do good enough based on apparently like a number system, I think, and you score enough points, it's basically just karma. If you score enough points throughout your life, you get to go to the good place or you go to the bad place. But this is about, what's her name?
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell. Her character is named Eleanor. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
She goes to the good place where is it Ted Danson?
Yeah.
Or no?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Which
it's
is
Ted Danson.
so great.
Where Ted Danson is like the, I don't know, the governor of the new place or something. And
Yeah, he has a title. I can't remember what it is.
well, hopefully we'll learn what it is.
Hmm.
And then there's God, what's his name? So there's like 4, 5 main characters. There's a couple people
Mm-hmm.
because it's Kristen Bell and then the guy William Jackson Harper. He plays Cheaty.
He's awesome.
And then Jamila Jamil, she plays Tahani. And I feel like she's her and William were probably, this is like their first big show, right? I don't really remember them from anything else.
Yeah, this is probably their biggest thing to date. It seems like the stars going in are Kristen Bell and Ted Danson, and then a bunch of kind of up and coming actors.
Right. And then there's Manny Jacinto. I don't know how to say his last name, but he plays Jason Mendoza. He's one of the other main characters. And then the fifth main character is that girl. Her name's Darcy Carden, and she was in she was one of the trainers in what's it called? Alana and Abby. I can't remember. Broad City.
Oh,
she was in Broad City. So I remember the first time I watched the show, I was like, "Oh, that's that chick from Broad City. Sweet." I had to cross out, guys, on the piece of paper. I wrote "Clue" on my piece of paper that I make my notes on. So I have to cross "Clue" out so I can write The Good Place, because I got duped by Joe. The Good Place.
Someone else I'm trying to remember. Oh, Mark Evan Jackson.
Who's that dude?
He's in just so many things. And he might not be in the first season, actually.
Well, then we might not see him at all. Who knows?
He's sort of the antagonist for quite a bit of this. But he's a bigger name. Like, if he's a guy, like a character actor, you'd know him if you saw him. He's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Of course. Your favorite show of all time.
It's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, so it's about the afterlife. I mean, what else is there? What else is there about The Good Place? I really like Kristen Bell. I think she's great. I think her and her husband, Dax Shepard, are a Hollywood power couple. They're a dream team for sure.
What is Dax Shepard like famous for?
That's the thing, is like, who knows, right? He was in
he's been in lots of stuff. What was we watched one of his big shows.
Parenthood?
Parenthood.
Okay.
That's it.
I think he was in something recently that got canceled, I think.
And yeah, Dax Shepard of Parenthood and Married to Kristen Bell fame.
But he's been in like movies and stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, so when I think of Dax Shepard, I think of Idiocracy. The movie. Oh. That's right. Literally what I'm like. He was in that. I go, he was in Idiocracy, and he's married to Kristen Bell, but he's funny. Whenever I see him on something, I'm like, he's funny.
Oh man. Wait. So neither of you guys have seen the finale of this?
No.
Oh man, I'm excited.
All right. It's a Mike Schur show, right? So like Parks and Rec has a good ending. The Office has a good ending. This is going to be... Yeah. I expect them to stick the landing here.
I'm just going to say... I'm going to put this right now. I'm going to put it in my... no, I can't say it now, because we got to wait till we talk about the first episode, I suppose. Well, it is about The Good Place, so it's about afterlife, so it's not ruining anything. I think this ending is going to be similar to Lost.
So it's all... Will all have been a dream? Or no, it's all...
Lost was real, dude. Lost was... everything happened in Lost.
Lost was real, but it's all the afterlife?
Basically.
And they didn't know it?
They all have to like meet. They all like go to a different place and like meet. I'll work out what my theory, my Lost theory is, but one of my...
is your theory that they're all dead?
Yeah, my theory is they're all dead. They were all dead the whole time.
I think that's going to be the first thing we learn about these characters.
Exactly.
Don't panic, but you're dead.
You're dead.
Here is a sloth for Kristen Bell.
Oh, yeah, that's right. All right. Well, I mean,
Google that video. It's outrageous.
Should we see? Let's just see in 2016 September how good this first episode was. Maybe it's crappy and we just think it was good. Also, number one, thank you there's a title. So we'll see you after the first episode of The Good Place called Everything is Fine. Welcome back, Ashholes. We're back to talk about the first forking episode of The Good Place. It's called Everything is Fine. Jimmy, do you have a write-up?
I do. Yeah, everything is fine. Focuses on Eleanor Shellstrup, who is Kristen Bell. And she's a woman who wakes up in the afterlife and is introduced by Ted Danson, who plays Michael, to the Good Place, a heaven-like utopia he designed in reward for her righteous life. She realizes that she was sent there by mistake and must hide her morally imperfect behavior and try to become a better person. The end.
I mean, yeah. That's legitimately everything. The Good Place is a place. It's the afterlife.
It's a place.
She realizes
it's good.
Eleanor finds out she's the wrong Eleanor. She's not the person that's supposed to be there in everything but name, essentially.
Okay.
And she thinks that everybody is supposed to be there besides her, but then they get soulmates. They're true soulmates. And her true soulmate is a guy named Chidi. And so then at the end, she tries to get him to, they devise the plan for her to like learn morals and ethics and stuff and become a good person. So she like earns her way essentially.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out what to do about her maybe not being there, and they're trying to talk out all the things. Well, maybe you are here, maybe it's a test, blah blah blah. And then they conjure up Janet, who's like some sort of like afterlife AI kind of magic being.
Yeah, it's like a little Siri.
Yeah. Did we talk about her in the intro?
No.
Yeah, well, that's Darcy.
No.
Yeah.
So
okay.
she's the girl. She's the lady that was in Broad City.
Yeah. Okay. And then she decides like, I'm not going to the bad place. I'm just gonna chill here, figure it out. And then she wakes up, and the next day everybody is, so then they go to a party first, and she's just a jerk, an asshole to everybody. And then the next morning, the whole place is like falling apart. The whole Good Place neighborhood,
There's
whatever.
A giant cocktail shrimp swimming in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's wearing like a yellow and blue like zoot suits or something.
Yeah, I didn't get that reference.
I thought maybe it was a Michigan thing because she was wearing like a Michigan law like sweatshirt.
Oh,
Except she was supposed to be like from Arizona.
She's from Arizona, but the person she took, whose life,
they're from
afterlife she's taking over, was a lawyer. So I assumed that
the other
that's
Eleanor.
Why
Okay,
she was wearing that stuff.
that could be it.
So-
that could be it.
Yeah, she called Jahani a giraffe. So there's giraffes running around everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't do it this much in this episode, but it's really funny. I find it really fun. There's two things in the show that I find really funny that didn't happen in this episode. One of them is that Eleanor keeps she hates Tahani for a lot of it, at least this first season. And then when she's like, I hate you. And then she's like, you like perfectly chiseled out of stone, like bronze goddess. Like she always like talks about how hot she is and then how much she hates her at the same time. So that's funny. And then also, it's more of a thing you have to pay attention to when they're like walking around the town. But somebody that writes, one of the writers loves food puns. So all of the like shops, there's always like if there's one food shop, it's like it's a fun food pun.
Mm.
It's good. Nice. Like the intro to Bob's Burgers every time.
Yeah, but it's like
the
the name. Yeah, it's the name of the
name of the store.
Whatever the store is. So it's pretty great. So I guess Good Place. So let's get into ethics and morality, guys.
All right.
Let's talk about it.
How do you feel about
Aristotle?
What are your guys' thoughts
Socrates,
going into the
go.
show? on the afterlife and what happens when you die.
Excuse me.
I think it's as presented as in the show.
Well, really what I was thinking, and Joe, you'll know this for sure because I think you loved this episode. Is it kind of makes me think of the Black Mirror San Junipero episode, where instead of like uploading your mind into a computer and living forever, this is just like be good enough and then you can live forever as like,
in a place specially designed for you.
Does a place maybe they're just learning, but so like does something like San Junipero or the Good Place, does that seem like a thing you want to essentially live forever after you die?
I don't know. I'd give it a shot. Because I mean,
just turn it off.
Yeah, as long as I could turn it off at some point.
But all these yogurt places, man. All these
true.
Frozen yogurts.
I guess maybe I wouldn't get bored of, especially something like the Good Place. If it's constantly evolving, if I get bored of yogurt, then like maybe it turns into custard. Yeah,
just like
and then maybe when it's really hot, it's like froyo or something.
Yeah, that was interesting that when Michael was showing her around the town, he said that all the towns are different and like they're customized towards what people like. And he said like some are warm, some are cold, and I'm like, who wants to live in like the cold Good Place? Like I don't know that I want to do that.
I don't know, man. We're all alive and we live in the cold real place.
But I want seasons in my afterlife. Gotta have seasons.
If it's cold, I guess I'm thinking you're dead already. If it's cold, you can't like freeze to death again, right? It's like, in a way, I feel like maybe your death feelings, like your death senses, are maybe a little numbed in a way.
So you just get to like enjoy snow, but it's not like it doesn't feel cold.
Maybe it feels cold, but it never gets to the point of like death cold.
Okay.
You know? You're like, oh, I'm a little cold, but that's really it.
Chilly.
You're never like, oh man, fingers are black. You know, like that doesn't happen.
Like,
yeah, death
oops,
cold.
My
Jimmy.
fingers are black.
Yeah.
Whoopsie.
Been playing too many snow games. Fingers are black. Time to cut them all off. Then live a sad mitten life hand.
Back to the like just morality question. Did you guys happen to see and take note of any of the things on the screen? So Michael had his little video explaining like, hey everyone, this is what happened. Like you did some good things, you do some bad things. All of those individual things have a point value. And so if you're basically positive by a lot, you came here. But he on the screen threw up a ton of random scenarios and like their plus and minuses, and some of them were so funny, but it goes so fast.
Yeah,
It goes
there's
by
so
really
many things.
fast.
Yeah,
I mean, I know one of them that I can remember was like you let someone merge in front of you or something like that.
Nice. +5.
I was like, oh man, I lost some points on some of those, I bet.
I tried to like take mental note of like the negative ones. One of the bigger ones was like committing genocide.
Okay.
That was worth a lot of negative points.
Oh,
All right. Well, hey, I gotta keep those points, I guess.
I would
You got
really
a
love
leg
to
up.
just pause on those screens.
Yeah, that's totally what it's made for.
I mean, for the most part, it seems like they only have a good and a bad place, and like Eleanor was arguing for, there should be a medium place, right?
Right.
For like
Well,
most of humanity.
Yeah, and Michael was saying that like it's really only like the cream of the crop that make it to the good place. Like the example they were showing was like, I think it was over like 1 billion points or something like that of like the example person that they were showing. That seems like a lot of good deeds.
Right. I would say based on probably the people that you know in real life that you actually think are like really good people, probably still don't even make enough points to like get there.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's a great guy. And he's like, nope, bad place. And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So there should be a medium. And then her Eleanor's like solution to that was Cincinnati. Like if you're just fine, like Cincinnati's just fine. You can live your whole forever in Cincinnati. It's just fine. I've never been to Cincinnati. I have no concept. Have either one of you?
I actually have been. I went last fall. I didn't really get to see much of it, but it did seem like kind of fine. There's a tower that I went up that you could see like most of the city from. And it was just kind of fine.
I mean, if your choices were internal nothingness or Cincinnati, which would you pick?
I guess I would take Cincinnati. It was a pretty like overcast day, like the day out that I had in Cincinnati too. So that fits a kind of an in between. Wasn't great weather, wasn't terrible.
Fair enough. They also played at one point. They played a clip of The Bad Place.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not allowed to talk because they
right.
can ask Janet anything. So they were trying to figure out if The Bad Place was even that bad, and then Chidi was like, "Can you talk about The Bad Place?" And Janet was like, "No, I can't, but I can play you an audio clip of what's happening there right now." And it was just screaming and like awful noises, scraping noises and stuff. It was pretty great.
It's a good bit.
Oh, should we talk about Doug Forsett? Not technically a character, but a really fun scenario.
Yeah, so Michael is saying, explaining that. So Eleanor asks like, who got it right? Who got like what happens right? And Michael's saying that basically no one did. Like he says, every religion got about 5% or something, and he said except for this guy who was really high at one time in the 70s, and somebody asked him what he thought the afterlife was like, and he basically went on this like tirade and was just nailing it, and now he's like the man, and he's got his picture up on the wall in The Good Place.
I love that they have his picture up. They're like, God, he almost had it.
Like,
He's so
believe
close.
it.
He was nailing it. That's pretty great.
I want to know who that picture is really of. If it's like, that's not Michael Schur, is it?
I was wondering, it looked like a familiar person, and I couldn't place if it was Michael Schur or someone else.
I almost wish it was like Michael Cera, but it's not. But
That'd be great.
I don't want to like ruin anything for myself, just in case. Like, I just looked up Doug Forsett, and it's like he is a former stoner from Calgary. It doesn't tell me who he is. Oh, he's portrayed by Michael McKean. Oh, and Noah Garfinkel. So there's a younger and an older Doug, apparently.
He has a recurring character.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I assume he shows up in the show then.
He must show. Yeah, because it says he's first seen in Chapter 1, Photograph, and then it says Chapter 35, which this show has 53 episodes. So he's in apparently Chapter 35 in person.
That's amazing. I hope they don't mention him in the in-between, that he just comes back and you have to remember who this guy is.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I might have a prediction about Doug, and so hopefully,
Yeah.
I thought, I mean, apparently he's in the show before, but I thought they were saving him maybe for the end as like a bookmark, a Doug bookmark. But
Yeah.
it's fine. I'll keep what I wrote, and we'll see if I'm right.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. So, I mean, all in all, what do you
anything
think
else?
about this as a first episode of TV? Does this suck you in, or do you not care about this?
I think it's interesting how they set it up, because like going in, you probably know, like you've heard about a little bit about the show, and just based on the title of it being The Good Place, you know it's about the afterlife, and they totally set up like the first part of it with Ellie's like orientation to the good place, just like thinking, oh, it's like straightforward, like this is like a show that's just based in heaven and we'll see what that's like. But then like just before the first commercial break, they like have the reveal that Eleanor is not supposed to be there. So I feel like that like builds some intrigue into like not just a show about the afterlife, but like a show about like a fish out of water in the afterlife, like someone who's really not supposed to be there.
They definitely do a good job of like going, this is the problem, you know?
Yeah.
Like, before the first break that like, oh, okay, well, this is what the show is, you know?
I think it's also interesting that like, you know, in contrast to Michael Schur's previous shows like The Office or Parks and Rec, like it wasn't necessarily a self-enclosed adventure in this episode. It was like it presents you with the problem, and then by the end of the episode, like there's still like chaos in the good place.
Plenty of problems
right.
still happening.
Yeah. Like when Netflix kept playing and like played the beginning of the next episode, like it just picked up like right where episode 1 left off, which I think is interesting. Nice. I wonder if they
played on the same night according to this.
Okay.
Right.
So it was a two-parter intro, but they're 2 different episodes. The second one's called Flying, but they were both on September 19th.
Yeah, and I wonder if some of that is if there's a little bit more continuity between episodes with just like an eye towards people are probably going to binge this in the future when it ends up on streaming.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like the episodes feel like that. Like they probably was a previously on, but that the episodes pretty seamlessly flow.
I kind of felt like it had a little bit more like this. It kind of was like a breath of fresh air a little bit for maybe sitcoms. Like it felt a little, it definitely felt super lighthearted, even though there was a lot at stake for the main character by the end of the episode. But it's just like so silly, and then it's just like in the afterlife and they're dead, and like most sitcoms are just like 5 adults living in Chicago hanging out trying to date people, like, you know, like so it's just something a little bit different. It's not, so it's like just different enough and definitely full of jokes that I think for the most part do land. And clever, that so I liked it, and I was like, yeah, cool. And especially watching on Netflix, I mean, I'm definitely gonna let it ride. So, and I did. I've watched at least 2 seasons of the show. So
I'm super into it.
Keep going, unless you like for some reason like hate Kristen Bell or something like that. I guess there's no reason for you to not keep watching, right?
Yeah, very likable cast.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't like her, then like, do you not like Ted Danson, you monster?
It is really fun to watch him in this because I've still been also watching Cheers, and it's just such a different character, but
right,
but super fun.
Which one of you guys wants to break the news of what happens at the end of season 1? Because we all know we know it.
Yeah.
So before we get into predictions, I think one of you needs to spill the beans. Spoiler alert, listeners. We know what happens at the end of season 1. It's a big deal to the entire show. And since we know it, we should let you know so that when we say our predictions, I don't know if any of your predictions matter because of it, but
Mine do.
We know it.
Yeah, I feel like it at least informs where we think the show is going. Like they're not
Right.
just like sticking around in the good place. So at least from what I remember, I think it happens at the end of the first season that they realize that they're not actually in the good place, that they're actually in the bad place, and that Michael has like built this city in order to try to torture them. It's, you know, everything is a little bit too perfect, and it makes them feel some sort of anxiety about things. So in that sense, it's supposed to like torture them.
Right. Yeah. He's an architect of bad places, not good places.
Mm-hmm. And so I forget exactly what happens at the end of that first season. They do something where they try to like either break out or reset it. And then everything sort of resets going into season 2, I think. But if I remember, I think that's the end of season 1, and it kind of gave me the impression that I guess I was thinking that they probably have some sort of twist or reset at the end of each season.
Yeah, possibly. But I mean, basically at least what we know is what we watched for most of the first season definitely wasn't all true, and that the show can kind of go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So there's that. With that, we can get into predictions, and I don't necessarily think any of mine really matter to that part of how it could be good, bad, or what they're doing, except for possibly one. My first one is that I think that Doug Forsett is in the episode. I thought we meet him in this last one, even though apparently now we meet him in episode like 35.
Between, yeah.
But I think Doug is around. I'm not going to say the real live one because I assume that everyone's dead. But
Sure.
Doug Forsett, not the picture, is in this episode. Number 2, I think Eleanor comes back to life at the end of this show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she comes back to life from where she died. So I think she like gets teleported back to that like parking lot and like dodges the grocery carts that pushed her into the road when she got hit by a billboard truck.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what happens. She comes back to life in that parking lot. Number 3, I think there's a blimp because that's my octopus monster this season. There's a blimp. And then my 4th one is I feel like there's an allusion or a mention towards Lost.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it does feel a little losty.
Yeah. So I feel like they can make a good Lost joke, and I think they're going to take the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see in the like production notes on the wiki page that he talked to
Who's
that
he?
guy?
The
Michael
Schur?
Schur. Like before
He talked to the
pitched
Lost guy?
show.
Like-
yeah.
Like J.J. Abrams?
No, hold on.
The guy who
Um,
plays the main character?
The co-creator was Damon Lindelof.
Lindelof.
Okay.
Lindelof.
Lindelof.
Yeah. He took him to lunch, and he was like, Imagine this going in the Lost way with cliffhangers and future storylines." And then after talking to him, decided he wasn't gonna do that. It's too hard.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, like Lost didn't do that part very well. You know, like that part of Lost wasn't done very well.
Mm-hmm.
If a cliffhangery super like asking questions, like are proposing more and more questions as the seasons go on in a way, but like, you know, solving some and then asking more, like, you know, you solve one, you ask two, that kind of thing, kind of like Lost did. But if they did it in a good way where it made sense, you could follow it, and by the end everything was answered, and it was in this like comical setting like this, that could be amazing. But
Yeah, it could be.
I'd watch it.
that's a lot of work.
It's called Pie World.
Yeah, it's called Pie World. All right, well, those are mine. So who's up?
I can go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I have seen this. I don't remember how long ago it was, but I guess it couldn't have been that long ago because it just ended this year.
Yeah.
So mine are
Well,
somewhat arbitrary.
This year's been about a decade long.
Yeah.
So
God, at least. So Chidi throughout this episode, so his deal is he was a moral ethicist, and so basically all this bad stuff that he's hearing that Eleanor did, and hearing what she's currently doing, calling people ashholes because they can't swear in the good place. Everything like bad gives him a stomach ache, and he keeps saying that he has a stomach ache. And I think in this finale, Chidi doesn't have a stomach ache. It doesn't
not
get a
have
stomach
stomach
ache. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Eleanor doesn't say fork.
Okay.
I'm just trying to go opposite of what the obvious things for me to predict would be. I think, and then I just have two totally arbitrary. I think someone wears a top hat, and someone gives a thumbs up. Those are my 4.
nice.
Cool.
Jimmy, don't you hate it? Don't you hate thumbs ups? I feel like one time I realized that you don't like it when people give you thumbs up.
I mean, I feel like it's often not actually intending you.
It's not like
intending
genuine.
good upon you. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I actually fun fact is I
Like,
think
yeah, thumbs up. Yeah.
I'm not
Your
much for
butthole.
I'm not much for road rage in general. That's not really my thing. But when people do bad things, I just give them a thumbs up.
Yeah, sarcastic thumbs
when
up.
I drive.
Like,
Yeah,
you're
I
you're
just-
doing a great job.
Yeah, I just go like, "Good job, everybody. Way to
See
go."
what I'm
Like I
saying?
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, flicking someone off isn't ever going to do anybody
Yeah,
any
it's
good.
a little too
Like,
easy.
It's too much. But like, if you do that, you give someone a thumbs up, and for a minute they're like, "Haha," and they're like, "Wait a minute, there's no way I did anything good just now."
Okay, that is pretty fun.
Makes them think.
But that's exactly why I don't like receiving a thumbs up. Okay, Joe, Joe, your turn.
Good predictions, Jimmy.
You son of a bitch.
Similar to what Josh had about Eleanor coming back to life, I have that all 4 of the main characters come back to life. Or all 4 of the dead people that we have come back to life.
I mean, I guess it would be pretty weird if only she came back to life,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I think they're all being put through some sort of test, and then once they've learned their lesson, now they get to come back to life and live better lives or something.
I'm going to switch my predictions to number 1, Eleanor comes back to life. Number 2, Chidi comes back to life. Number 3, Tahiti comes back to life.
So Michael's played by Ted Danson, who is also in Cheers, a long-running NBC show. The very last scene in Cheers, Ted Danson's closing down the bar, and a guy comes and knocks, and he says, "Sorry, we're closed." So it seems like something that would fit into this show. So I think Michael ends up saying, "Sorry, we're closed" at some point in this finale. Maybe he's shutting down the city or something.
That
would be nice.
That'd be great.
Yeah, just an interesting callback. Maybe he ends up working at a bar. It's a prequel. I think we get to see the actual Good Place. And maybe that happens at some point throughout the show, but I think in this finale, we get to see the real Good Place for like what it actually is, or at least a version of it. And then I think after Ellie comes back to life, she goes to law school because she decides that, like the other Eleanor Shellstrop, she could do some good by getting a law degree and helping people out.
Okay. That's
All right.
high aspirations for Eleanor.
Yeah.
She can do
She
it.
really
she
turned
just-
herself around.
Decides to go to law school, and then like after a week, she's like, actually, this is hard. I'm just going to be a better person. I'm just going to be nice to
it's
people.
It's easier just to give them a thumbs up than to learn law.
Oh.
That's right. Okay, well, hey, let's get into this last episode. It's called Whenever You Are Ready. Let's fork and watch it. We'll see you after that. And we're back, you fork and forkers, from the last episode of The Good Place called Whenever You're Ready. And Jimmy, do you have a write-up?
I do. It's a little bit long. Is that cool? A lot.
Only
Yeah,
covers
I mean-
everything.
I feel like I missed things, so yeah, explain it to me.
Okay, cool. After some time, the afterlife system designed by Michael and the 4 humans is working smoothly. Jason is the first group member to realize he's ready to move on from the Good Place. He throws a going-away party and makes a necklace for Janet to remember him. Janet leads Jason to a door in the woods. Walking through will allow him to leave. Jason loses the necklace and apologizes for it, but Janet forgives him and leaves Jason to walk through on his own. Tahani completes her afterlife goals, including spending time with her family, and realizes she is ready to move on. However, she does not want to pass through the door and instead asks to become an architect. Michael arranges for her to work her way through the ranks and earn her place. Eleanor suspects that Chidi is ready to leave and panics. To get him to stay, she takes him to Athens and Paris, which both have significance to him. Chidi realizes what Eleanor is doing, and Eleanor confesses she's afraid of being abandoned. Chidi agrees to stay. However, at dinner, Eleanor recalls What We Do to Each Other book and realizes she is creating selfish unjustifiable rules to keep Chidi there. She allows him to leave. After one last night with Eleanor, Chidi follows Janet to the door and walks through. Jason suddenly appears, having found the necklace in his pocket. He explains he waited for almost 1,000 infinities for Janet to return by living peacefully in the woods, almost like a monk, which is a fun callback to the first episode that Jason doesn't remember. After giving Janet the necklace, Jason walks through the door. Michael and Eleanor struggle to find fulfillment, and Eleanor visits Mindy St. Clair and convinces her to enter the new afterlife system under Tahini's oversight. Tahani. Tahini is like a drink. Anyway, however, despite this, she is still not ready to move on. Michael tries to use the door, but since he is not human, it does not work. Eleanor persuades the judge, Maya Rudolph, to make Michael human, allowing him to live on Earth and eventually enter the afterlife system. Eleanor is finally ready to leave. She walks through the door and becomes a series of sparks in the sky. One spark drifts down to a man on Earth who decides to return a wrongly delivered letter to Michael, and Michael thanks the man and tells him to take it sleazy.
Hell yeah, take it sleazy.
Is that like on a shirt that like someone's wearing during this show at some point or something?
I mean, I feel like Eleanor probably said it at some point in the show, and I'm assuming that's why that's a thing. Sounds like an Eleanor statement for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To me at least. Yeah, I mean, so this last episode kind of just had all five main characters, Jason, Tahini, Chidi, Michael, and Eleanor, all like moving on to a different spot. Janet's just a AI robot, so she has to stay behind because she can't go anywhere, I guess.
It's like instead of like all of the friends leaving an apartment, it's like all of the friends leaving the afterlife.
Yeah.
Right. And it seems like, they definitely created some sort of like fair and balanced afterlife where people can like take essentially like a test to like get in instead of point system and whatnot. And all of the representatives of the bad place, Maya Rudolph, the bad place guy, and the good place people all like meet and like kind of run it together.
Yeah, they have a little council.
Yeah, a little council of the deads or something.
Instead of being like verses.
So that's cool. So then there's the door. I was wondering this whole time if we knew what the door was, because like I don't know what this fucking door is. Sorry, forking door is.
I think they said at one point that it just like dissolves you and sends you back into the universe as like basically kind of a not a reincarnation. You're more like matter, but
okay, because like right at the end, I forget. I think it might have been Janet who like basically explicitly said like nobody really knows what happens when you go through the door.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of took it. My thought was, it's probably just reincarnation, right?
I mean, Eleanor was just sparks of light, and like one spark landed on this dude, and that seemed to make him make a ethically good choice.
Mm-hmm.
One time.
That's what we got out of that last scene. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think Eleanor became that guy.
No. I didn't think that either. I didn't think much of the transference of anything. I literally just went, nah, that's how you change scenes creatively.
Oh.
Like,
yeah,
she
well, I think it's that we see the like little ball of light like land on his shoulder and he does something good, is even though it's just like passing on like junk mail. But then there's that part where Chidi is talking about, I think it's like a Buddhist representation of death, that like when you see a wave in the ocean, it like has form and it like, you know that it's there, but then when it crashes on to the shore, it disappears and it's returned, like its elements are returned back to the water. and that's kind of how they view death, and is that you just like you no longer exist, but like your elements are still there, and it's returned back to like the universe. So I think that's what they're trying to get at with like the points of light, is that you return your essence and it disperses and it goes back into the pool of humanity.
Yeah. Love it.
It's very like existential of this show, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's this whole show.
I mean, it is. It just seems like this was like an actual like real like almost like that second and that doing it was like actually a real question of thinking about where you go and what happens, where the rest of the show is like jokes about how Eleanor can't swear, you know, and like food puns.
Yeah, it is interesting that they, you know, they're already addressing the afterlife, and like this is kind of addressing like the afterlife.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, you go to this place and you spend an eternity there, but then what happens?
But they choose it, you know? I think that there's something different about that.
It's weird,
to be
right?
done.
That's weird, right? Just choose to be done.
I thought it was interesting when, so like one thing that we probably didn't mention was that like Chidi and Eleanor are like a happy couple now.
Oh yeah.
From their contentious beginnings, but so there comes a point where Chidi is ready to go, and like so he has to like leave Eleanor behind, but there's part of me that was kind of like, well, like why doesn't he just wait until they're both ready to go? Like, is it so bad for him to just like keep hanging out even though he's not feeling like hanging out?
It's weird. Yeah, I mean, right? It's odd. It seems like if he was having such a good time with Eleanor and they were really in love, just even like Jason, you know, it's like, oh, you're just, I'm done. Yeah, I love you, but nah, I'm done. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
It seems like a paradox within itself. According to some sort of wiki on the Good Place, the last door, which is what that is present for those who feel content and satisfied and are ready to end their existences. That's all. That's what it kind of says. So
yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah, I guess. It just seems weird if you have like a soulmate or something like those two had, like Chidi and Jason. It seems weird to do it alone. Whereas, I mean, for Jason, I guess it makes sense because Janet could never go through the door. Like the door doesn't work on Janet. But with like Chidi and Eleanor, it's like why not go through the door together?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, is it so bad to just hang out with Eleanor then?
Just wait. I mean, you've already been there an eternity. What's another eternity?
Right?
Yeah.
Time doesn't matter too much for them. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it felt like it was had a bunch of warm feelings, and it was probably maybe satisfying for people that have watched the whole series. I don't feel like this was like a shitty ending by any means.
I thought it was great. I thought they did a great job wrapping up like each individual character. Like that's what you want. And especially the Chidi Eleanor vibes.
Yeah, they did a good job of like pacing it too. I think like they got rid of Jason and then they got rid of Tahini and then they spent a little bit more time on the other two, and then they gave Michael his like human spot as well. And Ted Danson was fantastic, like being a giddy human and whatnot. So
yeah.
I mean, were you gonna say it was not as funny as the first episode?
I mean, there's less jokes, but it was an interesting place to bring it. Where, like, I think all three of us were predicting, or not all three, because Jimmy had seen it, but we were kind of predicting that somehow they end up back at Earth and like Eleanor gets to live her life again,
right?
Which would have, like, with this, like with her just like turning into like spirit vapor, that's much more final than like what we were picturing of like she somehow gets to live again and like continues on a life.
Right. I guess maybe I'm too used to shows that want to keep going even when they're supposed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And her going back and being a person, like a living human again, would very much be like, we're good, but if we want 5 seasons and a movie, we got a movie, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or even like to just like comfort the viewer to say that, you know, things can go on, and like even though the show is over, like the characters go on, but this was very much like, no, it's over, and like they're choosing to just be done, and sometimes things just need to be done.
Yeah. I'm
Like
always
this
appreciative. Yeah, I'm always appreciative of people that actually finish something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And not just like, well, we're going to give you a question mark just in case we can come back, or like blah, blah, blah. Like, no, I wrote a thing that's done. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
We literally don't exist. They could just do a spin-off of Tahani's architecting.
Yeah.
What do you call it? What an architect does.
Architecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, some interesting ideas there about like we literally got to see what the end of eternity looks like, and that like the feeling they talked a lot about the feeling of like when you know it's time to be done. Like I think Jason described it as like when you just pulled out some jalapeno poppers and you're not sure if it's the right temperature, if it's going to be too hot, but then you bite in and it's the perfect temperature.
I feel like I'll be honest, I feel like I really connected with that.
Yeah.
Like
Every American did.
yeah, that felt right. For you Canadian listeners, it's like when you scoop up your first bit of poutine and you're like, God, this is hot. And then you throw it in your mouth and you're like, perfect temperature. That's what it's
Your
like.
first bag of milk.
And you think that milk's going to be really hot, but you realize, it's been in the fridge all day. This is cold, great milk.
For you Minnesotans out there, it's like when you bite into a Juicy Lucy and it only kind of scalds your mouth.
Yeah, no matter what.
Only a little bit shoots all over your chin and body.
You only lose taste for like 2 days. That's what it's like.
For you lushes out there, it's like when you pick up that empty bottle of wine and for some reason you just decide to pour it into the cup and you get that half more cup of wine and you're like, shit, great. It's like that.
Yeah,
Excellent.
4.5 glasses out of this bottle.
Woohoo, lucky me. Also, should I be concerned that I'm a witch? The answer is yes, you should, and you are a witch, but that's okay.
Yeah.
All witches go to heaven.
Jesus filled up some jugs, right? He like turned some water into wine.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was all about
The
all
liquid
about
was there.
the wine.
Fermenting.
So, I mean, all of us have seen a lot of this show, but none of us have seen all of this show. So, does this push any of us more into the we should finish what we started, or are we good?
I think I'm in. I need a thing.
Yeah.
I had some spooky month, and then now I got to find something else to watch or look at other than like election projections.
Oof. So each season of this is only 13 episodes, I think, right?
Yeah, they're short.
At like 23 minutes a pop, you can burn right through this and then go straight into Schitt's Creek, because that's also on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll just
Guys?
alternate
Huh?
back and forth.
Guys? Actually, that's not a bad idea.
Never.
I'm for it.
Do it. Yeah,
I feel the urge to just do it now.
I'm close. When we went into Netflix, my Netflix told me that I had watched a significant portion of season 3 as well. So like I really only have like season 4 left.
Yeah.
And really that's just for me to understand what the hell is going on in the last episode with how they built like a new afterlife system, and it seems to be working very well. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Cards on the
curious.
table. This is not the episode that I was remembering at all when I was thinking of the last episode. There's some other like bonkers stuff that goes on in this last season that's super fun. And Jason, I can never say it. Mantzoukas? No.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? Did I do
I
it?
mean, that's how I
Ish.
imagine.
Wait,
Say
what
it.
are we saying?
So there was a hot second, and I already forgot her name. Cindy St. Clair. Is that right?
Something St. Clair.
Am I
Michelle?
batting
Megan?
1,000?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Keep going.
I read it in the thing. Anyway, the lady that Eleanor helps.
Yep.
Mindy St. Clair.
Mindy.
Not Cindy. Her deal, do you remember her? I think she's in the first or second season. She's like in like a middle place, but like
She's
by
kind of in the
herself,
medium place.
in a
Yeah.
neutral place. And then she has like her Janet, but it's a guy, and it's Jason Mantzoukas.
Right.
And he's in this episode for just a hot second, and he's just like this weird like corporeal being, like just a head that's like floating, because whenever Mindy doesn't like her, like something that he's done, she can just like reboot him, and she's done it so many times that he's just a floating head. But he's in this show a lot in the last season, and it's just hilarious, as you would assume.
He's always funny in things he's in. He's in this. Obviously, he's in the league too, right?
Yep.
For a little bit. God, I can't
Parks
even
and
remember.
Rec.
Yeah.
Brooklyn
Okay. Yep.
Nine-Nine.
Oh God. Yeah. In Parks and Rec, he's the perfume guy.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. Joe, I think I've sent it to you. This is like over a year ago now. It's like Jason Mantzoukas and somebody else, Paul Scheer, maybe, and they're on some like.
Oh yeah.
They're on some like.
The like Chicago
Oh,
access.
I just found
guy's name.
Yeah,
It's like the
Chris
Andy
Chris Gethard, right?
Chris
Is that what you're
Gethard
talking about?
show.
Yeah, he's on the Chris Gethard show, and they're doing a thing about what's in the box or something like that. It's a giant. It's
This
a
is a
giant
dumpster.
trash can dumpster, and they're trying to the whole 45-minute episode of the show. They're trying to guess like what's in the trash can by guessing, but they just kind of like take over the whole show, and you can tell that it like really gets away from Chris Gethard, and it's really funny, and it's I don't know why, but it like I thought it was one of the funniest things I had seen probably in like months when I watched it, and I don't even want to say like what's in it or anything, because anyone's listening to this and hasn't seen it, like just search on YouTube Paul Scheer, Jason Mantzoukas, I don't know how to say his name, Mantzoukas,
Sure.
and Chris Gethard, and just like you'll figure it out. It's so good.
I thought about that episode of that show the other day and thought I should rewatch that.
Yeah, I might have to rewatch it now after we get done recording, because it's so funny. It's so funny. So that's my recommendation for the week. We're starting those now, I guess. So that's
All right.
go watch that. If you don't want to watch The Good Place, take 45 minutes and watch this episode of the Chris Gethard show. It's on YouTube. Should we get into our predictions to finish our night off here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go. I went mine first, so I'll do mine first again. My number one is we meet. Well, I said we meet, but like Doug Forsett is in the show. We met Doug Forsett in this episode. He was in it.
Yep. The actual dude from the painting.
Apparently he also went through the door. They mentioned that in this.
Oh yeah.
And then I got no other points, but my other ones were Eleanor comes back to life from when, at the same time when she died. So that obviously didn't happen. Well, I mean, I guess technically it
Just
might have.
Michael
We
did.
don't know what the door does, but we don't think that's what it does. I thought we would see a blimp. I did not see a blimp. Did you
No.
guys see a blimp?
No.
And then I said they would make a a Lost reference or mentioned Lost, and I didn't catch. I was like, it was ripe. It was ripe for a Lost member, but I didn't catch one.
I didn't either.
Unfortunately. But I will take my 1 point.
All right. Did I go next? I think I have one as well. I just said Chi doesn't have a stomach ache, and he's like, apparently his deal now is he's like a well-adjusted human being in the afterlife.
Yeah, what a deal to have.
Yeah. So, and then I had that Eleanor doesn't say fork, and she totally did, even though she totally swore several times in this episode. So like it seems like she doesn't have to say fork anymore. She just is still doing it, which is pretty fun. Didn't see any top hats, and thankfully did not see any thumbs ups. Thumb ups? Thumbs up? Thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up.
Heads up, 7 up. 1 point for me.
1 point.
I
Joe?
don't think I had anything because I had that the 4 main characters come back to life. They dissolved. I said that Michael says, sorry, we're closed, which I felt like we were close at points, but didn't. We get to see the actual good place, which I don't think what we were seeing was the good place. I don't think there is a good place anymore. Is there? Is it just...
Yeah, I feel like it was I feel like it
tough to
was not technically the good place and not the bad place, because obviously everybody in both and also the judge were all like working together.
Yeah,
I think
they
it
have,
was
like, a system
complete
now.
It was they made a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed good though, because people had to like.
Yeah, it was a good place.
I want to give you half a point for that if
Okay.
Jimmy will allow it.
I mean,
Yeah, it seems like wherever the main characters were hanging out was like the best place.
It's the place you want to be.
Yeah,
right?
True.
because you just
That's
can
true.
manifest anything.
Yeah.
But it's not the good place as I think we were supposed to know it in the first episode.
Yeah. Well, while we're there, Jimmy, can you explain the what's a baramy? It's like a measure of time.
Yeah, I don't know if a baramy is like one lifetime, or it's definitely more than like a calendar year. In the write up, the person's like called it one baramy an eternity, but that seems really long. It's, But so to me, it seems like it was more one lifetime, and it's definitely referencing something somewhere. Might have been in the season I did not see.
Okay, so yeah, you didn't know the reference either.
Yeah.
Something I'll watch for. And then yeah, my last one is that Eleanor goes to law school, which she did not. Although it seems like she learned a lot about ethics and philosophy.
She's kind of bragging about how good she was at ethics.
Mm-hmm.
Real braggadocious. So 0.5, Joe?
0.5.
All right, on
Just
the
getting
board.
credit for showing up.
Yeah,
Do you
way
wanna-
to go.
Do you want to hear what the fandom says about a baramy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the afterlife, time moves in a Jeremy baramy, as explained by Michael in an episode of the same name. This means that time moves along Earth's timeline as if it were the cursive English word Jeremy baramy. The dot over the I in Jeremy baramy is an isolated point on the timeline which contains Tuesdays, July, and occasionally the time moment where nothing never occurs. So I hope that's clear.
In all fairness,
Okay.
I did see at some point there was things in cursive, like she had a Jeremy Baramy calendar, and I couldn't quite read what it was. I was like, Jeremy what?
Yeah,
I couldn't figure
can
it out.
See what that said, yeah.
So now I know that all the things we saw in cursive this whole episode said Jeremy Baramy.
Mm-hmm.
Also, can we take a step for a second to know that there's like children that are born and are in like middle school and probably high school right now that just won't be able to read cursive because they just don't teach it anymore. Like they just teach kids how to. I think they kind of just teach kids like how to sign their name.
And emojis.
Like that's yeah. I don't think there's like a. I don't think they do like cursive stuff like as much as they used to. In all fairness, it's generally useless except for signing your name, but you should also like know how to read it, right?
Yeah. They told us it'd be faster when we were kids, but I don't know if that's true.
Well,
like
it's not faster. It's not faster for anybody else trying to read your cursive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people like like Jimmy, for instance, when he just writes things out, it's barely legible for.
Yeah, maybe I should try cursive. Maybe it'd be more legible.
I don't know. Well, I was going.
Maybe
I was
we
going
spent
with.
so much time.
I was going with your cursive was going to be far worse than your print.
Who's to say?
But I mean, we
Who's to
could
say?
say you could write a couple of sentences in print in cursive, and we could say, Jimmy.
I never learned to read.
Okay. Well, that's going to be an issue. Ask your doctor wife to teach you how to read, and then we'll get back to you next week because we're done with this
doctors
episode.
Have historically bad handwriting?
Yeah, they do. Actually,
My wife has
bad
very
cursive,
good handwriting.
bad cursive writing.
Why would you be
Well,
writing
actually,
your prescriptions in cursive? That seems dangerous.
Doctors are.
I don't think that's how
they're
do
dangerous. No, I don't know. I think
Dangerous
doctors have.
people.
They're dangerous people. Your wife's dangerous. Thank you for listening to this episode of First and Last. We like The Good Place, so should you. Watch it. Tell us what you think about it. And if you want to, you can hit us up at F&L Podcast on the Twitters or on the Gmails. Pretty confident that you can listen to this podcast on every type of app or whatever that's out there. If you find one we're not on, look for us on another one. But you're already listening to us, so you figured it out. Good job. Subscribe and 5 stars. We'll see you next week.
Chidi is reading Dan Brown, the Da Vinci Code, and he's like, I got a new thing. Garbage books.